right. We are live once more. We've got more action. Let me just pull this up, make sure everything's doing exactly what it needs to be doing. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's a lovely Tuesday. There we go. Okay. We are live. Good. Okay. Sweet. Ah. Oh man, I was just plowing the slush off the driveway. Ugh. Went from snowy and absolutely frozen up here in Michigan to slush and rain all last night, which is crazy. Hopefully, my audio and everything is okay. Hopefully, it's not skipping. Yeah, I don't think it is. It shouldn't be. The internet's okay here. Man. Well, we've got big things happening. But before I start this one, I do want to say big thanks to Don McIntyre and the entire Golden Globe, racing team. Everybody that sets all this up and gets all the information out. I've been watching some of his live streams and stuff, and yeah, it's pretty good. And I figure I'm sort of poaching, I suppose, on his thing, but I figure he probably wouldn't mind because it's just bringing the Golden Globe to a wider audience, which I think is always good and everything. So big thanks to Don for all he's doing and just creating this race and everything. And yeah, just check this website out. It's Golden Globe Race. Really, really cool stuff. You can see the URL up there and everything. But we've got some action going on, folks. It's a little crazy down there in the old Southern Ocean. We've got Kristen, we've got Abolish, and they are in some absolutely awful weather. This storm's not catastrophic, but it is very, very, very ugly. And you can see their position right there. Let's just zoom in on that, and then we're going to go to actually the windy site. But yeah, Abolish is already out of the northerly or north easterly, the first front. So he's already gone through the shift. So he's probably experiencing some pretty ugly cross seas and all that sort of stuff. But by no means is he out of the woods. And Kristen's just about to get into it, and it's going to be kind of ugly. So let's go over to Windy to really look at this. But yeah, that's their positions right there. Ugh, man, that is not a fun place to be. But yeah, so we've got Kristen up here, Abolish down here, and yeah, let's just see how this is gonna develop. Let's just hit play. Oof. So it's just gonna push past. Luckily, I think Kristen is high enough up that she won't have to sort of deal with too insane. Like the really bad part would be to be down low here. That's the section you definitely don't want to be in. But let's look at the gusts because sometimes those can be a little more informative. Oh my gosh, yeah, that is really not fun. Holy cow. So that's just going to keep pushing over. So they're definitely in that range of, they're going to see 50, 60 knot gusts, and it's going to continue on for a good little chunk. The seas are going to be just uh, super confused, and then they're going to sort of clean up. But remember, they're headed south, so they're staying in this. This is the secondary part there that's going to come back up. And that's actually something I think to sort of worry about because sometimes those secondary low pressure systems that run off of these can be almost worse than the initial blast. Because think about it. I mean, you basically you're having a low pressure system come over you when you already have sort of a confused sea state, a large sea state, and it's not going to be pretty by any means. But let's look at their positions here and let's see if we can. There we go. That's what we want. Oof. All right, so now I'm just gonna go a little bit forward. Do 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 do. Yeah, look at that. Ooh, so that runs through. So hopefully, yeah, by tomorrow. So 24 hours of pretty much just trying to hang on and make it through the night. And then that secondary one comes up in just a day or so, and by that point they'll probably be further down. Yeah, that's interesting that it shows it as not so bad on this one. But still, pretty bad, pretty ugly. And they've got a good bit of distance to cover to get to Cape Horn and get sort of behind that shelter. But I'll tell you, watch this. This is kind of interesting here. If we zoom out, there's almost an identical system in the Atlantic. Watch this as so we've got these two monster systems, one in the Pacific, one in the South Atlantic, which the South Atlantic can be absolutely ferocious. It's not one of those things, Cape Horn has been described as, the exit from hell and all that sort of stuff, but you're not actually out of the really bad storm track until you get well above 40 degrees south in the Atlantic. But watch as I move these two forward. Look at how they're almost identical in strength, power, and their movement. I mean, this is Southern Ocean, low pressure system, big storm right there. I mean, the one at Cape Horn is definitely, it's pretty ugly. There's that secondary, and again, these are the gusts. This is not just the stated wind speed, but it's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly for a number of days, and then we got that one come in, and that'll probably be just about the time that they actually start making their way around Cape Horn. So hopefully that one won't be quite as bad as it looks right now. Oh, look at that center down there. Oh, geez. I don't know. That's pretty far out in the forecast, so I'm not too concerned with it, I guess, because it can all change. But yeah, that's some pretty ugly weather. That is definitely ugly. I'm gonna get out of the wind gusts and just go back to the straight wind. Yeah, that's a far more pleasant picture. Sometimes those wind gusts can make you make you go a little crazy. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna switch back and we'll just run through the next week. And remember, we've got Kristen is just about up here, Abolish is right about there, and they've got to go all the rest of the way down. But let's just take a look and let this play out. So they're getting destroyed, awful, ugly cross seas. Then it starts to sort of clean up. Now they're riding the northern edge and trying to get down there as quick as possible because let me just pause this for a second. One of the things that goes through your mind as you've committed and you've made your turn towards Cape Horn, essentially that is it's go time. It's like get me there and around that thing as fast as possible so that I can start going north. And so you kind of almost have to throw caution to the wind a little bit and just say, hey, you know what? We're just going to go and keep pushing. We're going to push harder than normal because, one, we're closer to land. So if something does go wrong, somebody can come out and rescue me. But more than that, it's just I need to get moving and I need to make those miles. I'm using the European forecast model. That's the one that I've always used. Good question, Joe Beth. It's one of those things you can go back and forth and this and that, but I just pretty much just stick with one and I just stay with that. The European model seems to be more accurate in my own experience. Even when I'm out at sea, I typically am always downloading the European model instead of the American one. And ideally you could do both, but yeah, so that's that one. But so essentially, then they're going to get some nice westerlies. That's the secondary low. That'll be a little confused and crazy. Hopefully that one doesn't develop. And then they're in kind of an interesting situation there. Okay, so a couple of days from now, so by Friday the 10th, now they've got these westerlies, and they have to go pretty much to the south, or they've got these Yeah, they got the westerlies. They got to head to the south southeast. So that means they're going to be broad reaching, if not reaching, in these westerly winds. And as this one comes in, I think the winds even come a little bit more out of the south. Yeah, just a bit, not too much. But that's kind of a pitch point. And Don had set up sort of a kind of a waypoint that they weren't supposed to go northeast of because of the hazard of, that's the world's scariest lee shore. The coast of Chile there, down that far south. If you get in a hectic sou'wester down there, you're in real trouble, and you can get sort of caught up in that. And that's sort of the worry. But I believe when I listened to Don's last live stream, he had said that they foregoed that because of the storm. So essentially, they're going to be like kind of reaching across. And in these lighter wind conditions like you have there, it's not going to be too much of a big deal. But then look at this one coming up. And again, this is pretty far into the forecast. But as that comes in, you've got some pretty monster ugly stuff. And when it's like that, you essentially want to just run and run and run. And in some of these conditions, you're not going to be able to do that. So we'll just have to see how this develops and how this goes. But yeah, I mean, by about this time is when they're going to be creeping right down to Cape Horn. And look at that little system right down there. Holy cow. That's the wild weather. That is the wild weather down south. It's really hard to predict it. You don't know what you're going to get. And sometimes they're super intense. I mean, when I was heading to Cape Horn, I was in hail squalls and all these sort of things. And right at the day that I was approaching, all of a sudden a gale kicked up, and luckily it was just a southwesterly, and so it wasn't. It was in the right direction. I was able to broad reach pretty much straight under the horn and then head up, but it just came out of nowhere, came out of absolutely nowhere. But other than that, then look at that. Yeah. Hopefully they get far enough down and close, cuz I mean, that's like the worst case scenario there is you're just about headed to the horn, and then all of a sudden you have a southerly coming up. Oh my gosh. That's absolutely crazy. Well, we will see. It's going to be interesting. I'll probably end up doing another one of these as they get through and a little bit more news comes in. Don's been doing some pretty good updates and such, and especially when there's storms and things like that, he's jumping on it pretty early. So I'll try and bring some news. You can always just watch his live streams on the Golden Globe YouTube page and everything. But other than that, before I check out, I do want to say yesterday I had the pleasure of sitting down and doing a Zoom interview. Well, not an interview, but just a conversation with Randall Reeves, the pioneer of the Figure 8 voyage. And I'm just going to do a little editing on that and come up with a new sort of series for doing podcast like interviews and chats. I've done a few now, but Randall's definitely the big heavy hitter. So I'm going to put that out hopefully later on today. And it was really interesting. We talk mostly about knockdowns and how to deal with them and what happens. And he tells some stories and I tell mine and stuff. But hopefully we're going to be doing a few more of those. And yeah, we'll keep plugging away. So that's my little update. Hopefully everybody's okay out there, and yeah, keep these two sailors in your thoughts because it's rough down there. And if you're sitting in a room like I am right now, be glad that it's not moving up and down 20 to 25 feet every 10 to 15 seconds because that's what they're dealing with. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And this is the end of the live stream.